The house by the endless sea. There was a small village surrounded by cliffs and endless ocean. The people there lived simple lives, fishing, repairing boats, and watching the waves as they rose and fell like breathing giants. But far beyond the shoreline, standing alone on a jagged rock, there was an old house. No one visited it. No one repaired it. And no one ever spoke about it, because the house wasn't normal. Sometimes at night, it had lights on. Sometimes smoke came from the chimney. And sometimes, music could be heard drifting across the water, even though everyone knew no one had lived there for years. A boy named Eli had always been curious about it. He asked the villagers, but they only told him, "Stay away from the house by the sea. It remembers things." Eli didn't understand what that meant, and the more he was warned, the more he wanted to go. One evening, when the sea was unusually calm and the sky looked like glass, Eli took a small boat and rowed toward the rock. The closer he got, the heavier the air felt. Not windy, not cold, just strange, like the world was holding its breath. When he finally reached the shore, the house stood above him. Tall, dark, waiting. The door was already open. Inside, everything was clean. Too clean, like someone had just been there moments ago. A table was set for two. A kettle was warm, and a fire burned in the fireplace, even though there was no wood left to burn. Eli's heart pounded as he walked deeper inside. That's when he heard it. Footsteps above him, slow, careful, like someone trying not to be heard. "Hello?" he called out. No answer, but the footsteps stopped. Then from upstairs came a soft voice. "You shouldn't have come here." Eli froze. "I just wanted to see," he said. "Everyone says this place is empty." A long silence followed. Then the voice spoke again. "It was empty. Until you arrived." The air shifted. The fire in the fireplace flickered wildly, and suddenly, Eli realized something terrifying. The house wasn't abandoned. It was waiting. For him. He slowly climbed the stairs, each step creaking like a warning. At the top, there was a hallway filled with doors. Every door had a name carved into it. Names he didn't recognize. Except one. His own. Eli pushed the door open. Inside was a room that looked exactly like his bedroom at home. Same bed, same window, same broken toy on the floor. But there was someone sitting on the bed. A figure that looked like him, but older, worn out, tired, like someone who had lived too many versions of the same life. The figure looked up and smiled sadly. "You keep coming back," it said. Eli stepped back. "What are you talking about?" The figure stood slowly. "This house doesn't belong to one person," it said. "It belongs to every version of you that ever chose to come here." The walls began to whisper, soft voices overlapping. Different versions of Eli speaking at once. Some scared, some angry, some crying. The house was alive with memories that didn't feel like memories. They felt older than him, older than the house, older than the sea outside. They pressed softly against the silence, like voices trying to be remembered but not fully allowed to speak. Eli turned to run, but the hallway outside was gone. The staircase had disappeared. The front door was no longer there. Only doors remained, rows and rows of them stretching farther than the hallway should have allowed. All of them now had his name, each one carved slightly differently. Some fresh, some faded, some scratched deeply into the wood like they had been written in a hurry. The older version of him stepped closer, slowly, calmly, as if this moment had already happened many times before. "You always think curiosity will set you free," it said gently. Its voice was not angry, not cold, just tired in a way Eli didn't understand. But some places only exist because someone keeps returning to them. Eli's breathing shook. The air felt heavier now, like the house itself was listening to him. "So how do I leave?" he asked. The older Eli looked at him for a long moment before answering. Not surprised, not confused, just certain. "You already did." The fire in the house suddenly went out. The light vanished instantly like someone had closed a door on it. The voices stopped. The door stopped moving, and everything went silent. Not quiet, silent, like the house itself had disappeared around him. When Eli opened his eyes again, he was back in his village, sitting on the shore. His hands pressed into the cold sand beside him. The sea was calm, too calm. The house was gone. The rock was still there. The waves were still there. But the house itself had vanished, as if it had never existed. as if the ocean had taken it back. But in his pocket, there was a small, cold wooden key. He didn't remember picking it up. He didn't remember being given it. Yet somehow he knew it belonged to him, and carved into it was one word: return. Eli never spoke about what he saw, not to anyone. Not even when people asked why he sometimes stared at the horizon longer than before. But sometimes when the sea is still and the air feels too quiet, when the waves stop sounding like waves and start sounding like something waiting, he looks out toward the horizon, waiting to see if the house remembers him too, or if one day it will be waiting for him to return. Subscribe for more videos.